Have you ever noticed this weird thing? You praise someone for doing an amazing job, and the next time, they do worse. But then you criticize someone for a terrible performance, and they almost always get better. You might think, aha, I've figured out motivation. But what if I told you the real reason has nothing to do with your praise or punishment? What if it's all just the math of luck? Let's get into this fascinating illusion. So this whole idea, this whole puzzle, it actually comes from a story that the psychologist Daniel Kahneman tells. He was lecturing Israeli Air Force instructors, explaining that rewards for good behavior work way better than punishment. But then this veteran instructor stands up and says this. For him, the evidence from his own eyes was crystal clear. Yelling worked, and praise just seemed to make things worse. And that really is the question, isn't it? The instructor's direct, real-world experience, it seems to fly in the face of decades of psychological research. I mean, what is really going on here? Now, here's the really interesting part. The instructor wasn't imagining things. He wasn't wrong about what he saw. He had correctly observed a genuine pattern. When he praised a pilot, their performance usually dropped, and when he yelled at them, their performance usually improved. The paradox is that his explanation for why this was happening was, well, it was completely off the mark. Okay, so if the instructor's conclusion was totally wrong, what's the real reason for the pattern he was seeing? It has absolutely nothing to do with the motivational power of screaming into a headset. The real answer is a powerful, but often invisible, statistical principle known as the regression effect, or more commonly, regression to the mean. So what does that actually mean? Well, to put it super simply, it just says that any exceptional results, whether it's exceptionally good or exceptionally bad, is probably going to be followed by a more normal, more average result. An amazing performance likely had a little bit of good luck mixed in, and that good luck probably won't show up next time. And a terrible performance? It likely had some bad luck, which, you guessed it, also probably won't repeat. To make this crystal clear, Kahneman did this brilliant little live demonstration on the spot. He had all the officers throw some coins at a target without looking. And, no surprise, the officers who got super lucky on the first throw, well, they were really unlikely to be that lucky again on the second throw, so their performance regressed. It got worse. And the guys who were super unlucky and did horribly the first time, well, they were unlikely to be so unlucky again, so their performance regressed by improving. And notice, no praise or punishment was involved at all. And this right here is the absolute key. The flight instructor was only yelling at cadets right after an unusually bad maneuver, a performance that was statistically bound to get better all on its own. And he was only praising cadets right after an unusually perfect maneuver, one that was statistically likely to get a little bit worse. He thought his actions were causing the change, but what he was really seeing was just the invisible pull of regression to the mean. So why does this even happen? What's the actual engine driving this regression effect? It turns out it all comes down to a really simple combination of two key factors. Yeah, almost any performance you can possibly think of, from flying a fighter jet to taking a test to playing a sport, can be broken down into these two basic components: your underlying skill, which we'll call talent, and all the random chance and circumstance of that particular day, which we'll just call luck. Think about it. To get a truly exceptional, out-of-this-world score, you need more than just talent. You also need a whole lot of things to go your way. The wind was perfect, you felt great, the conditions were just right. That's the luck part of the equation. And because luck is totally random, you just can't count on getting a huge dose of good luck 2 times in a row. Let's use a golf tournament as an example. A pro golfer who shoots an unbelievable 66 on the first day is obviously super talented, right? But they were also probably pretty lucky. So our best prediction for day 2? It's not another 66. It's that their amazing talent will still be there, but their luck will probably be more average. So they'll still play well, but probably closer to their usual score. And the same exact logic works in reverse for the struggling player who had a terrible day 1. And once you really get this concept of talent plus luck, you start to see regression to the mean absolutely everywhere. It's like a fundamental pattern of the universe that's been hiding in plain sight, and our brains are constantly making up other stories to explain it. Think about the famous Sports Illustrated Jinx. An athlete gets on the cover after a career year, and then they have a more normal season. Is it the pressure of the cover, or did they just have a season of incredible talent plus incredible luck that was bound to regress? Or listen to a sports commentator trying to explain why a ski jumper's amazing first jump was followed by a more average second one. They'll invent stories about the athlete being too tense or more relaxed, when really, it's just regression.
It even applies to things like health. If you take a group of highly depressed kids, just by definition, their condition is at an extreme. Any measurement you take later will, on average, show some improvement, not necessarily because they drank an energy drink or hugged a cat, but simply because they're regressing toward a more average state. Here's a perfect example of how our brains get this so wrong. You hear a statement like, highly intelligent women tend to marry less intelligent men, and we immediately start creating these complex, interesting social theories. Oh, they want to avoid competition, or intelligent men are intimidated. But the reality is a lot more simple and honestly a little boring. The correlation between the IQs of husbands and wives just isn't perfect. And here's the kicker. Whenever a correlation between two things is imperfect, regression to the mean isn't just likely, it is a mathematical inevitability. It's not a story, it's just math. And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? We are storytelling machines. Our brains desperately want a cause for every effect we see. The idea that performance just changes because of mere statistics feels deeply unsatisfying. We will always prefer a good story, even a wrong one, over a plain statistical fact. So, what is the big takeaway from all of this? It's a really profound and, frankly, kind of an unsettling truth about the feedback life seems to give us. This quote really just sums it all up perfectly. The feedback loop of life is fundamentally perverse. Because an extremely good performance is usually followed by a more average one, our praise often feels like it leads to disappointment. We get statistically punished for being nice. And because an awful performance is usually followed by a better, more average one, our criticism or our punishment often feels like it worked wonders. We get statistically rewarded for being nasty. It is a cognitive trap that's just built right into the fabric of reality. So the next time you see this pattern play out, maybe in sports, at your job, or even with your own kids, just pause for a second. Before you jump to the conclusion that your tough feedback was a miracle cure, or that your words of praise fell on deaf ears, ask yourself, could this just be the simple, silent, and incredibly powerful pull of regression to the mean?